Let's talk about new and renewed bubbles. You and I were on the phone a few weeks ago, and you were dropping this IP on me, and I had never heard it been talked about before. You said, Brian, there are these new bubbles and there's renewed bubbles, and they're very different, and people need to understand or they're not going to know how to invest. And I know you've got things down here like GameFi and DeFi, RWA, AI-Fi. What do you mean when you talk about these bubbles?
Yeah, thanks so much for the question. And it's something that I put a lot of thought to it. And I realized that, well, first of all, the pros of bubbles is that it's getting people to compete to create new technology and solve new problems, right? So I was looking at the dot-com bubble, and obviously we have some of the FANG stocks for those who are watching, who came out like, some of the big ones, the big tech like Amazon, and Netflix came on a little bit later, but Google. And so what I realized is, bubble has a bit of a negative connotation to it. When it's actually a huge pro. I mean, that's how we advance as civilization. That's how we build new tech. And what I realized is there are trends that they're one-off wonders and they fade out. So if there is a bubble that's created and you never see it come back, then it was just the wrong choice. They were building the wrong tech. But what happens when a bubble comes and goes and then reforms? So the new that renews. And all of a sudden, then there must be something there because there's demand. Maybe we haven't found the formula yet, but eventually when it will come really big. And so I'm really bullish on renewed bubbles. Like the renewed bubbles, I don't know how many cycles it may take. We had a beginning of AI, crypto stuff with SingularityNet. You had a lot of these founders on your show in the previous cycle. So AI-Fi is a reforming bubble. So it's something that's coming back. And we're also realizing on the Web 2 side, there's some malpractices, some shady, unethical practices and Web 2 AI. So that is exciting to me. It's not the first time it came. There's demand again. It's starting to grow again. So how many times will it take for a renewed bubble to really set itself as a major disruptive asset class? I cannot give you the answer to that. But I'm much more excited in putting money in bubbles that are renewed. Like the meme coins thing, many people say it's a bubble. No, Dogecoin is old, man. It's the third or fourth oldest cryptocurrency. So the meme thing has already existed, but now the new bubble that's shaping is maybe an IP. It has something new to it. It has different culture to it. Maybe it's going to connect to some sort of IP, whether it be a cartoon, whether it be the goods that the Pengu guys have, like toys. So I really like renewed bubbles. And my only thing to say here, and I don't know if you agree with me here, Brian, but if there's a new bubble, get in and out. Enjoy the upside, but it's very unlikely that in the very first bubble that you get it right. I think there's a really high failure rate. So just like, everyone, 98% will become irrelevant, maybe a few winners. But for example, DeSci, which is trying to create this scientific data, go against pharmaceutical companies, this is a new shaped bubble. And I would be very careful because I think it's going to take a long time for us to be able to democratize data from the hospitals, which are very conservative, which is a very broken system when it comes to transparency, to the pharmaceutical industry. That to me is a far fetch. If you want to play, make some money, yeah, but probably you want to get out. I don't know what you think about it.
Dude, I'm going down memory lane right now. So in 1999, I was in London and my buddy from MIT called me up and said, Brian, I want you to meet someone. And I was like, well, who? He's like, I want you to fly to New York tomorrow. I'm going to introduce you to a guy. And we went out to lunch. I'll never forget it. It was like one of those power lunches at the Four Seasons in Midtown. And I met a guy named Jimmy Finkelstein, and he was starting a company called luxuryfinder.com.
Joining the investment club can bring you the opportunity for peace of mind, wealth, resources, community, and a more joyful time. It was a whole new world for me to hear about cryptocurrency, an alternative to the traditional banking system that we have. The investment club gives us a chance to think about what wealth really is, to have the freedom to live your life that you want. In just 1 month that I've been a part of the investment club, I have listened to so many visionaries with new ideas in the world of music, in the world of finance, in the world of artificial intelligence. When I have questions, there's members of the club willing to support and help and want to see one another gain experience and knowledge.
And my buddy convinced him that me as a 27-year-old was his new CFO. And I said, yes, I signed the papers and I moved from London like the next day. I left all my furniture there. I didn't care. And I was part of the first dot-com boom. All right. And we were going to sell jets on the internet, right? When books were barely being sold on the internet, and it was all luxury goods and it was crazy. We raised $15 million from all the huge players in the Hamptons, Leon Black and all these famous people, all with their big houses in the Hamptons. And I rode that bubble like a madman for like 9 months. All my buddies in New York hated me because they were all in finance. And I was like, bro, finance is old news. This is where the money is. And I used to say, this is Columbus in the New World. What was his ROI? And they would just roll their eyes. And then what happened in March 2000, the bubble burst and the NASDAQ crashed. And I'm telling you, 3 months after that, if you said the word tech in New York, somebody was going to punch you in the face. It was so bad. And I thought it would never recover. And I remember back then, Google hadn't even been created yet. There was like 17 search engines, Northern Lights, and AOL was still big and all these others. And I got so damaged in that I thought, man, tech is never going to come back. But what happened? It came back with a vengeance. And Google was building in that bear market. And pretty soon it came out and all these other companies came out, and Amazon. And that was the second, the reemergence of that bubble. And that ended up dominating. Now look at the S&P 500, it's all tech and it's all, internet companies for a while. So I've been through what you're talking about. And I agree with you. That first bubble, you have to be very careful, very careful. And look, you can make money, but you want to get out because it's going to correct. And some things will die forever, like the tulips, in Holland was a one-off thing where people were paying, I think a year's salary for a tulip in Holland, and there was leverage and all this stuff going on. That never happened again. But all the tech stuff did happen, and meme coins and a bunch of others will reemerge. So I think this is interesting. Are you looking at things like DeFi? Are you looking at things like GameFi? Are you looking at things like RWA that already have been here for one cycle? Is that something you're kind of keeping
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
So, and I think the next slide, the three sectors that I'm the most interested in is AI, Fi, obviously, because I think there's something really, really big. The crossroads between crypto and blockchain in general, it just makes so much sense. And then number two, DeFi, as you said, there's a new bubble of restaking. Liquid staking became restaking, and there's some other asset classes that are really interesting that I think, eventually you're going to be able to have like on-chain stocks or equity that's going to have more composability and use cases than any stock market out there. So it's going to bring utility to stocks. So let's say, for example, like DeFi, what it can do for the future of finance is, let's imagine Amazon doesn't pay dividends for your stock, right? Well, when you have it on chain and you're doing LPing for the Amazon synthetic stock with USDC, if you strategize it well, you could be making interest on your Amazon stock. So these are things, this composability of DeFi is something that the NASDAQ and the Dow Jones or New York Stock Exchange cannot do. So I think that DeFi is it's still in the infancy stages. If RWA perhaps is a bubble of that DeFi bubble, it's kind of related. And RWA, it's not the first cycle, we have many money markets,
right?
That have come there. We have, some of the Aave protocol, and we have some of, the stable coins and stuff like that. So yeah, I really think, Brian, that this is something to capitalize on, if you make a good strategy around it.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing in crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.